Hear now? Can everybody hear now? You can also join me inside of the Zoom room. Can you hear on YouTube? All right, so I'm thinking, oh, right, everyone can hear. All right, so feel free to also join if you want to talk. Give me just a second. Let me just get this one thing up and running, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. Sorry, my tablet is moving like super slow. Want to be able to address questions and address them in that room. All right, perfect. All right, so let's get started. So what I'm going to do a couple of things, kind of let you guys know what you can expect for this next 3 days. Today is all going to be theory and really understanding what the workflows are. And then tomorrow we're going to actually dive into a group destination sales page, kind of dissect it so you can understand. I've got a really great template for those of you who are ready to start building and using that template. I'll publish the template to everyone's account in the morning. You'll be able to do that. And then the third day, we're going to focus on automations and like how do you use the system? How do you do all of the fun stuff behind the scenes to make it all work? So how are you guys feeling about that? Like, let me actually show you what we've created and demo it so that you can see what it all looks like. So let me share my screen. And as always, I'm doing something kind of fancy. And so we'll have to see if it all works together. Like I'm broadcasting multiple places doing kind of really crazy stuff. So, all right, so the link is right here. So this is the, and I think it's sharing out to the world. Yes, so you guys can see that, move that over here. Can you guys see this page? Hopefully you can. All right, so I think it's sharing. Can you see it, Omar? Can you see the page? Perfect. All right, so this is an example of a sales page. So I'm gonna demo it so you can see how it works. We're actually gonna go all the way to the end of the process from a client perspective, and then we're gonna talk about literally what all that workflow that's going on behind the scenes that makes it all work. So this is any kind of sales page that you create. So I'm going to actually give all of our Travel Pro Suite members, I'm going to give you guys this template and the structure of how this web page is broken up into different sections and all that. We're going to dive into that tomorrow. But literally, you're going to have a client and you're going to have your own stuff on a page, right? You're going to show them why they need to actually be in this destination. And for those of you that don't know, we do have a Learning Through experience in Bali. I'm going to do a little quick plug. It is August 16th through the 22nd. And if you decide to join us, you also have the opportunity to go to Singapore. And that's literally what this page is showing you, right? So this is all the information that you're going to show your client, right? Why they need to be at this said destination. Importantly, what you need to know as the advisor, though, is what do you do after you get all this stuff done? And that's what we're going to talk about. This is the presentation of a trip. And you have the ability inside of Travel Pro Suite to design this page any way you want, as fancy or not as fancy as you decide. But again, I'll be giving you guys a template that goes through like how to build all this. We're going to dive into all of this tomorrow. But literally, client's going to see it and they're going to decide to book now. They're going to be like, yep, I am in there like swimwear, as I often say. And then what's going to happen is your client is going to get to a payments page. This is assuming that you're going to be going through a flow where you are accepting payments and processing those payments internal to the system. and they're going to put in their information, right? I require company information, so we're going to say that it's where do I work? I mean, I don't normally, if you were, you probably wouldn't require company information, but we're going to say the travel company just to make this go along. Use my maiden name, and we're going to use my here. And you can have as many fields as you want on this page. Now, this is not intended to be the travel profile page. This is really just to collect the deposit and or payment for your trip. So this will have options for you. This is going to be a standard checkout page that you'll be able to utilize inside of the system. Full payment, I've set up a full payment and I've set up a payment plan. I'm going to select the payment plan option. And then I'm going to, and this is going to be something that you guys are going to want to know. When you are in testing and you're using your system and you're doing a system, I mean, I just jumped right in. I didn't even introduce myself. I assume you guys know me. I assume you know what we're all doing here. And I should have probably did some sort of intro, but I'm a little excited to show you guys this. So I'll do the intro after I do the demo. So for those of you who are actually doing testing, if ever you're doing any sort of credit card testing and you want to test a transaction inside of our system, the dummy credit card number is 4242424242424. That is a standard Stripe credit card number to do testing with. So that's just important to know. So you can pick any expiration date, and then I also like to use the 42 CVS, and then you're going to have your zip code. So I choose to show my full TSA. So if you guys are with Travel Industry Solutions, I choose to use the full TSA that they provide as a part of that solution. You can just do a simple terms acknowledgement, but I literally want to do the whole thing. So I have that here. You guys will have the flexibility of doing the full TSA or just having your client do an acknowledgement that will link them to your terms and conditions. And then we're going to go ahead and complete the order. And this takes a while longer than it would in a live production environment because it's testing. So then that was step 2. So step 3 is now I want to collect their traveler information because you got their money, I got their money on the bottom, behind the scene, and now I want to get the information so I can actually get the booking done. So I'm just going to fill all this out, and then we're going to talk about what this all looks like behind the scenes for you all. It can't be in the future. I transposed that not 2073. I was born in 1973. It's good that the system caught that. All right. And then this is sort of the stuff that your client's going to complete. And the great thing is that we can actually bypass this since it's a group trip and we already know the dates. We could probably remove this off of our form if we wanted to. And I toyed with should we or should we not do that. So I've left it on for right now. And then here, client's going to book their own. I'm going to skip the passport information because I don't have my passport information. And then I'm just going to put here. And just click this here. If I click yes here, then your client can put additional traveler information. But I'm going to skip that so that we can go about our business. So here, this is also we're going to want our client to acknowledge travel insurance. If you are including insurance, then you can just, not have the decline part. but you'll want, this is a part of our standard travel profile survey, is having them acknowledge that they either received or didn't receive insurance as a part of the profile. I'm going to decline that just so you can see that we've got some decline information that's here that lets them know that they're officially declining, and then they're going to sign, and then they submit, and then this pretty much concludes them signing up for a group trip. That's it. So that's that's 4 steps that your clients are going to go through. That's on the front end. So what's happening behind the scenes is what we're going to talk about for the rest of the week. How do you set this up for yourself in your own travel business, and what do you do to make all of this work? So those 4 pages were pretty simple for your client to do, but as you guys know, there's a lot of stuff that goes into you making a decision about a group trip that you host. I will also let you all know that this is applicable if you are working with a group leader. So even if you aren't doing your own group trips, but you're working with the group leader, you will want to implement some version of this flow for group trips that you are working with, that you are a leader for, that you're working with the group leader. And I see Lisa's name because I want to tell Lisa, this is applicable to you too. I know that you're doing a wedding. I know many of you guys do weddings and you do different group leader trips. You're working with somebody who wants to do a group trip. I'm working with another client right now. We're doing her setup, and she is hosting a cruise. So, and she's doing it on behalf of a client. She's actually doing a 70-year-old birthday cruise for a client. So I want you to really think about the different ways that you can set up this 4-step process. It really is for any time you are doing something that you want a landing page for, and you want that payment process to be smooth. Now, I recognize not all of you all are processing payment, and we're going to talk about the different flows that are available. That was the easy flow, right? And I say easy because there's nothing you need to do external to the system. You're processing payments internal. You are doing everything inside of Travel Pro Suite. But some of you aren't. Some of you all have host agencies. Some of you all don't want to process, and you've got all these different scenarios. So I had to create a process for those who have these different scenarios. So before I jump into that, I'm going to pause and ask if there's any questions, and I'm going to introduce myself if you happen to be new to me. So my name is Sunday Gardner, and I am all things launching and operating a successful travel business, but primarily what I have been heads down in the last 8 months is creating this solution for you all that helps you manage and streamline the way that you do business. So we have been focused on a series of workshops, and this is our 4th installment of a 5-part installment geared towards critical workflows in your business. So we've already done the travel request workflow. So if you're doing custom itineraries, we did that workflow in January. We also have really focused on payments. If you are doing payments internal to the system and how you process payments, we dedicated an entire session around payments. So let me drop that link in this for you. So if you are interested in doing a trial of a Travel Pro Suite, I'm going to drop this link inside of the chats for you all. So you should have that. I should have given that to Omar to do, but I didn't have the wherewithal to do that. So let me just drop the chat. Let me drop this in all of the chat locations for you all. So let me do this in this one place. So you have a 14-day free trial to do that. So the last 8 months, I have been focused on creating workflows and creating automation, forms, surveys, emails, all of that, to help you all streamline the way that you do business inside of a all-in-one solution. Many of you all who've been following me knew, I want to say it's almost been, I dare say this is year 2 that I did the original Opus workflow, and I realized that inside of Travel Joy. And so subsequently, what I've done is I've beefed up that Opus workflow and realized it inside of this tool that you guys are seeing here now. So again, we've already done travel request workflow, we've done the payments workflow, and then last month we focused on the booking workflow. So really from the time that you've gotten approval, and now once you've accepted, somebody has purchased your group booking. Last month it was really how do you communicate with that client at certain intervals, collect information with your client. So those 3 are done. Now we're focused on, I want to do a group, or I want to do a signature itinerary, because that's also a great use case as well. Is you've got a way that you want to present a trip or an itinerary, and you want to create interest around that. Ready to buy interest, or just destination, I want to give you my information interest. And so let's talk about a couple of the different workflows that we will have available to you all this week. The one that I just showed you is one workflow. I'm going to talk through the particulars of that in just a second. But then there's this workflows, plural, that really relate to you processing payments external outside of the system. You know, I've been meeting with many of you all for a long, long time. And so the first workflow that we will be releasing is the workflow where you have a payment link from an external vendor. And so that really is, and Lisa, I'm speaking to you. I'm also speaking to those people that they create group trips and they get a payment link from their supplier, right? So if you have a host agency and you're working with your host agency and they have a credit card payment authorization link situation that you do, this is going to be for you. If you, I had another client and she did a trip, she had a cruise and she was doing it through Vacation Express. So she had a payment link. So if you have a payment link that is standard that you use for your group trips or use for all of your trips, this workflow that I'm going to show you is going to be for you. So what we're going to do is I'm going to also show you from a client perspective kind of what that journey is going to look like. And so let me make sure that I am in the right account. I am. I thought I had it open. But let me just go there and make sure I show you the right version. So this is behind the scenes, but I'm going to just show you, assuming a client goes to the same sales page, but instead of them going to the checkout page, what we're going to do is we're going to have them go to this page, which will be sort of an alternative flow for those of you who are processing payments external to Travel Pro Suite. So they're going to actually go to the second page. So remember, initially we started at this page, right? So if you make the decision at the beginning of your trip planning process that you are externally processing, you are going to be using the funnel path that will go from the sales page to, hold on, now I got myself completely confused, to the interest page. Hold on, I didn't do that right. Make sure I published this. I worked on it. I don't think I published it, so let me do that really quick. There we go. All right, so let me just do that one more time so you guys kind of get the flow. So what's going to happen is if you are externally processing outside of Travel Pro Suite, you're processing through your host agency, you're getting a credit card authorization through your host agency, you're going to a supplier site because you don't want to process the payments internal. That means you have a payment link of some sort that you want to deal with. So what we're going to do is you're going to still have a sales page. Could be any kind of sales page. Just want you to realize it could be any kind of sales page. And the very next page that when somebody clicks on book now, instead of going to a credit card capture page, you're going to send them to an interest page. And the purpose of the interest page is we need to know that they have interest in the trip, that they want to actually go on the trip, and that we want to make sure that we can get them to the next stage of the process. So really what we're going to do here is we're going to go in and we're going to collect their name, their email address. We're going to collect their phone number, and we're just going to get them to acknowledge the terms. And then we're going to take them to, I wonder how it knows it's not the right number. Because it knows. knows. So it's then going to take them to a payment. This actually, I need to change this language. It's going to take them to this page where you are going to have your payment link linked behind here. And I don't think that I have an actual link behind here, so this may not work. But the idea is that this button is going to take them to whatever your link is. I don't have a payment link page, so I think I still have somebody else's that I was using. I don't know that I want to surface that. But the idea is that you'll take them to a page that will then have them go straight to your payment link, whatever that may be. Hopefully that makes sense. For you all that are doing this, I think it should make sense to you all that you guys have some sort of, in the case of Lisa, she has a payment link from her host agency. You may have a link from Vacation Express or whatever, and we're going to put that link right here. And when they click on it, it's going to take them directly to that page. All right. I'm going to pause and see if there's any questions. And if you are in the Zoom room, come on into the Zoom room and come off mute and ask me a question. Any questions for those who are in the Zoom room? Is this clear as mud? Omar, do we have any questions on the?
No.
Nope. All right. Okay, so let's talk about what this all looks like behind the scenes. Let's go the easy route. We're going to do the nice and easy route, which is we're doing everything for you, right? And I don't mean me personally, but the system, everything is going to be done inside of the system. So hopefully you guys see my screen and you see my sort of guide and my process flow. Does everybody see that? Perfect. I see that you do. All right. So this is really the process that we just, okay. So Lisa says the link changes and is emailed to the client. Okay, so that is going to be a different flow, Lisa, and I did take into account that flow. And when we get to the groups trips, the next workflow, I'm going to talk about the different scenarios for people with payment links and kind of the different ones. So that one just remind me of that. So let's talk about payments processed internally. So again, simplest thing for us to do because everything is in-house, right? So the flow is easy. It's nice and easy, as Tina Turner says, it's nice and easy. And then we'll do it nice and rough, I think is the way she says it in that song. It's one of my favorite songs. But as we talked about, these are the 4 steps, right? So we saw the sales page, you saw the checkout page, you saw the traveler information page, and then you got to a confirmation thank you page. Or did you guys see the thank you page? I don't even know that we saw the thank you page, but trust me, there's a thank you page. And so let's kind of just talk conceptually about what's going on at each one of those stages. You're going to use a template. I'm going to provide you with a destination template. Like I said, there's going to be a whole guide and training on how to use that destination template. You've got to come with the content. I assume that when you're ready to sit down and build a sales page, you already have the itinerary built, you already have the pricing done, you already have the content for the page, you already have the graphics, videos, all that stuff is already available and you've already done that. I always say, don't start at the computer trying to do a web page and you don't have all that stuff because it'll just drive you insane. So nobody wants to be driven insane. So when we go over this tomorrow, I'm going to talk about all of the stuff that you need to come to the table when you get ready to work on your first funnel page, okay? So don't come to the table like with all these questions, because again, it'll just drive you a little bit crazy. So let's not do that. But this first page is really assuming that your trip is already ready to go and that you just need to plop in the information where you need to do that. Again, we'll focus on that tomorrow. But then the second page is really about the pricing. You need to decide already the fact that you're going to accept payments, right? You already know what your deposit is. You already know if you're going to have 10 or 15 payments or 20 payments or whatever the number of payments that you want to have. You already know that. What's happening at the checkout is we're actually processing the payment. Money is coming into your account. And I'm going to show you how all of this looks for that transaction that I just did behind the scenes. So this checkout, it can handle your deposit and any number of payment plans that you want to set up, any variations. And for those that have been on the system for a while, you know that in the payments training, we went over how to set up your product, how to set up the payment plans associated with your products, and all the automation that goes with that. So once somebody actually purchases your group trip, and I did the payment plan option in the group trip, it was like a deposit of $250, and then there's some payments that are there. That automatically signs them up for payment automation. So payment reminders are going to go out to your client. Receipts are going to automatically go out to your client. Now, this is again provided that you set up the payment functionality as that, that set of training instructed you to do. But all that stuff happens automatically. If a payment fails, that stuff is going to be communicated to you automatically. So that payment automation, the beauty of having a group trip is once you set it up, it's all done. Like you don't have to worry about trying to tinker with it afterwards. So that's what's happening at checkout. Now, once your client has submitted their traveler information, what we're doing is gathering the information for the primary lead. And then we are going to also, I don't have this done yet. I'll have it done by the end of the week, provided you guys don't have too many changes or questions. But what the intention is once somebody submits their traveler information to you, is that we will send it to a Google Sheet so that you start having the ability to track all the components of that. And then if you need to send that sheet to your supplier, you'll have that with the ability to do that. So I'm going to create a standard Google Sheet for you all to be able to capture the information about who's being added and then also their payments. So that's where we'll be doing group financial tracking and also your group actual tracking. Now, don't get me wrong, the information's in the system. I just personally haven't found anything that does tracking better than a Google, an Excel spreadsheet. I'm a Google Sheet. I used to be Excel, but I am a spreadsheet queen. And I just have this huge comfort in that. Now, don't get me wrong, all the transaction information is in the system, but when it comes to my group trips and certain transactions, I want the ability to be able to see that data, manipulate it, and then I also got to send it to the suppliers. So this is the reason why we want to be able to give you that ability to do that. So that integration is pretty simple. We have the ability to integrate with Google products. So like I said, I'll be creating a standard Google Sheet, a group tracker for you all that will get populated when somebody comes onto the trip through the traveler info, and then also as payments are being made. Thank you. Really, that's just confirmation. There's really nothing happening for the process internally. It's just to confirm that they've made the order and that they've gone, they can go about their business. And then what happens is that they get actually automatically entered into the client booking automation. So what will happen is automatically at the 90, 45, 7, and 1 and day of trip, information about the trip is going to be going out. Okay, so we've already gone through the demo for Destinate, and you want the guest to book a room. So a room is just like a, if you want a specific room, it's going to be a product category type that you'll select, that you'll set up in your options. So the way that that's going to look like, Sandra, and that's a good question. I'm going to just show you. in the product. So let's say for you have a resort and you want to set up, let's say, room, a swim up suite, and then an ocean, I'm thinking a cruise and some other type of suite, right? Like you got multiple different types of swim up bar suites or whatever, right? You're going to set that up as separate products. And when you show the checkout, there's a couple of ways that we can do that. I'm going to just show you this page. Is here. Oh, sorry, this is not the live. This is the. Okay, so here in this situation, you would have different products that would represent your rooms. So you would set up a room for a product for, your category, whatever your different room type is. So, and then they would book into that room type if that's what you want to do. If you've got so there's multiple ways that you do it, but the way that you do it from a selection perspective would be a product in the payment section of the system. Let me know if you have any questions on that. But Sandra, that's how it would get set up. It'd be set up at the product level. And then there's a couple of things that we could do is instead of you just having one checkout page that has all of these products, is that you could set up your product categories. Let's say you have 5 different room types, and you on your sales page, you'll have, package 1, 2, and 3, and you could set up buttons that go straight to the checkout that's going to be related to room 1 versus checkout that relates to room 2. That's one way to do it. Or you could have all these options available here. So there's multiple ways that we can show different packages or room categories that you have for your trip. All right, hopefully that answers your question. So let's go back to what do you need in the system? So let's talk, again, we're going to dedicate tomorrow on the sales page content and set up for that. But then really, you've got to have your product pricing schedule. You need to know what your different pricing plans are going to be, or room category plans, or whatever breakout of financial way that you're going to be running this group. You need to have all of that defined. For internal processing, you do need to have an internal processor set up inside of the system. We integrate with Stripe. We integrate with NMI, so that's Nancy Mary Igloo, and then we also integrate with Authorize.net. We do also integrate with PayPal. I just generally don't recommend you all do your groups through PayPal. That's just my own note to you. I would, Stripe is definitely easy peasy. NMI is an integration, and Authorize.net. Those are both merchant processors. You do need to have the payment feature set up, meaning you need to have gone through some particulars, setup features, meaning you need to set up your invoicing, your receipt, automatic receipts. So there's some training that we've already done on that. You need to have all of that part set up. And then you also need to get through, if you want the automations to work properly, the client booking setup, that's also going to be one-time setup that you're going to do. You're going to want to make sure that that is done as well. So the features that you're going to be exercising in Travel Pro Suite are really going to be the opportunities, payments feature. You're going to be using the email templates, sites. You're going to be using funnels, surveys, and forms features. So let's take a look at the trip in action now that it actually was delivered. It was paid for. So let me show you kind of how all that kind of works behind the scenes. So this right here, this is that trip. How do I know? Because I just know. So it was done at 6:09. So right here, this is when it was submitted. I know because I've been doing a lot of testing lately. This is the trip that was created by me just 30 minutes ago. The trip information is all here. So this is all the information about the trip. And this is, I already posted an itinerary link as a part of that setup. We're going to go through the setup in just a little bit, but this is the actual record, right? So this is the trip record in an opportunity, and this is how it's shown up. But then in the payments, I have now received an order. And that order came in at $609 for $250. That's the deposit that I received. I should have also received an email that I'm going to show you the email that I received. So here's my very, very, very bad email list, but here is me as the client. I just received an email from you as the travel advisor telling me that, hey, I've been booked on the trip. Thank you for being booked, and here's what you can expect. These are all emails that you can customize. And if you've gone through the client booking part of the training, you've already customized those emails for your business. But then as the travel advisor, you see this internal email that was received, which lets you know that there was a travel profile that was submitted to you. That's one of the internal emails that we have set up. And then this also lets the client know that they submitted the profile, because I have all those settings turned on. It lets them know that they declined their signature. This is going out to the client. These are all features that we've turned on in the system and that I went through in the client booking part. So this stuff is already set up and it's already working for this group booking. And so that is pretty much the the automation that's going on right now for this particular booking. But let's talk about what also has happened. This is a payment plan. The deposit was $250, and then now I also have a subscription that was created for 4 payments of $666.75. So this has also been set up now and will automatically charge the client at this increment here for this amount of money for the period that I set up in the system. So that payment automation is already done as well. What's also great is now this trip is now in our client booking automation that will wait, and then at the 90-day mark, it will send out the appropriate communications at the 90-day mark. So now let's talk about any questions on that. Sandra, did that answer your question? Let me know in comments. Any questions, thoughts, feedback? Everybody good? Any questions? No? Hold on. I think I got a question in the chat. If you have multiple options that change based on how many people and their ages are traveling, is there logistics built in, such as if this, then that? Yes, there. You have the ability to do if then statements inside of your form. I don't know that I understand what if then that you're saying, so you got to tell me what you're thinking specifically, Misty. You can come off chat if you want, off of mute, and ask me directly. But we do have in our forms, in our surveys, in the workflows, if then ability. So if you could tell me what particular scenario you're thinking about, I could tell you exactly where it is. But we do support if then logic in pretty much every area that it would be appropriate, which would be in the forms, surveys, and then also in the automation proper. All right, so
hi.
Yes.
Sorry, do you want me to?
Yes, absolutely. Yes,
Okay.
Please.
Hi. So mainly in the checkout when they're choosing, and you kind of answered a little bit about the different categories, you just put it in as a different product. But let's say at an all-inclusive resort, when the child rate is different and it varies depending on if there's 2 adults traveling or 1 adult traveling or 1 teen and 1 child, like, is there logistics built in, I guess, for the product?
Yeah, for the product, not so much. Yeah, you have to put in all those variations in the product. From a selection perspective, there isn't any built in the product at the product level. But that's a great question.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions before we go on? Because this is the time to ask. Okay. All right, let me show you what else we got. So where was I? Okay, so that is pretty basic. When you go in, let's talk a little bit. Let me show you the payment setup for this particular product that I did. So for this product, this Bali, what I did is I set up this product, which is I set up full payment. So I set up all the variations of the product that could exist from a payment perspective. One of the things that I've created for you guys is and I have not recorded this training in its entirety, but I'm going to show you it so you can see and many of you guys who have been working with me are familiar with this profit and loss tracker. I've had this sort of profit and loss tracker. It actually originated as a group tracker, and then I created it for all types of trips that you track. And so I'm not going to go over the particulars, but what I did do is I combined the payment, the profit and loss tracker. I combined the payment plan calculator here so you guys would have everything in one place. And literally what this is intended to do is to help you keep yourself organized on the different packages and variations that you may have for your packages, right? So Misty just asked, do we have that if-then logic? I don't. The system doesn't have it that you can set up, but you absolutely still need to know it, whatever is in the contract that you have signed with your vendor or whatever that may be. So what this template is really intended to do is just help keep it all straight for you. So that when you get ready to set it up in the system, you can just have your numbers ready. And I think I have one already done. So I think I have the Bali sample already done. Yep, that one is done. So not so much that one. So I should have had it already ready for you, but I thought I did. And then hold on, I did in products. I get so many things in my head. Product, what did I call this thing? It's called the payment plan. I thought I had it already saved. There we go, sample training calculator. All right, so here's an example of it utilized. So let's say you've got your total trip amount is $6,700 and you want to do a deposit for $550. And once you put in your start date and your final due date, it'll calculate your payment plans, and that's exactly what you've got to put in the system in terms of your product setup. And I think inside of the product or the payment training, I go through how to utilize this payment calculator and how to do this. So like if, package number 2 is, maybe it's the swim up bar and you want, $600 for the deposit for that, right? You can set all those up and the amount will be different. And so really what the spirit of what I'm trying to tell you is you got to know all that information up front in order to set up the pricing in the system. And so here we've set up a full payment price, and then we've set up a occupancy price, that's got what our deposit's going to be and how many payments that we're going to do. The system you need to define that, and then you need to communicate that, and you do that through the product page. Okay. Once you set that up, then you're going to connect it in your sales page. Again, we'll talk about how you do all of that in an upcoming course, but really you set up the products. And once the products are set up, then really the only thing that you have left to do is set up the actual group trip inside of the system. And so there's going to be one thing that you're going to have to copy. There's three main things that you do when it comes to establishing a group in the system. You've got to build your sales page. You can use the template, but you're going to have to put your content in it. And then you're going to need to set up your pricing, your product and your pricing. And then you're going to need to configure the group automation so that it actually has all of your specific group components in that. And so let me just show you, give you a little sneak peek as to what that looks like. So in the automation underneath client step 4, there's going to be, and this is going to all get delivered to y'all's accounts tomorrow, but there's going to be this 4.100.21 that's a template. You're going to copy that. You're not going to want to mess with your template. You're going to copy this because you're going to need to create one special for every group, because again, every group has its own specific dynamics. So we're going to just duplicate that workflow, and then I'm going to call it, you know, sample trip for training, so I know that this is it. And then I'm going to click create. And then what you're going to do is you're going to find it, which is it right here, and I'm going to go inside of it. And you're going to also know most of the automations that we deliver to you are published, but this one is not, because I need you to follow these instructions. Again, I'll have pre-recorded training for you guys to do that, but you're going to always start from the top when you come in and edit an automation, or really anything in the system. Start from the top. Make sure your name is the way that you want it so you can find it. We're going to set the trigger here, and we're going to go and actually set our funnel, like select which funnel we want this to actually work with. And in this situation, you know, when you get this, it's going to say destination funnel, but you're going to actually select the funnel that is your group trip. So same thing, you're going to have to copy the template and then create your own funnel. You're going to select the appropriate funnel. And in this case, I'm going to select the LTE funnel. And then I'm going to save that trigger. That's going to be step 1 that you do. And then step 2 is you're going to modify the second box, and you're going to modify these components that are specific to your group trip. You're going to modify the start date, the end date, the final payment due date, the trip name. You're going to keep this reset trip date to no. You're going to, if you are doing the booking of your clients' flights, then you'll set it to no. You are, the advisor is booking, but if your clients are doing their own booking, you're going to set that to yes. And then you're going to keep your payment external processing. Yes, I'm processing all payments inside. Now, if for some reason you're processing all payments outside, you're going to select outside. So, and then that is, at this point, all that you need to do to set this group automation up. This will automatically set the components of the trip up for every person who's signing up for your trip. It'll set everything up for them behind the scenes as long as you do this. Again, you'll need to do this for every group trip that you do. Set these parameters so that the trip record has the group trip parameters that you want. Then you'll click Save Action. You'll set this to publish, and then you'll save. And that's all that you need to do to execute the creation of the group trip setup. I'm going to pause and ask if there's any questions. No? Okay. This will be also published in your accounts tomorrow morning. All right, so then now let's talk about, now that's, again, easy peasy if you're doing the internal processing. Now what becomes a little bit complicated are all these different variations of that you guys have. So again, if you're internally processing, you're taking payments and you're paying your supplier directly, that first process that we went through is the way to go. Can you mix processes? Well, you can, but just why do you make your life hard? I'm kind of following the same Travel Joy model, which is you got to make a decision up front which way you're going, because it's going to make it really nightmarish if you try and do all of it in one automation and one process, do it some way, somehow. Like, it's just going to be a nightmare. So I think it's best to make the decision on how you're going to accept payment and process payments at the beginning of your group trips. All right, so here are the scenarios that I've come up with based on working with you all, and feel free to add any changes or augmentation to that in this training or in the future. But generally, this is what we've got. So we've got the first scenario, which is what I just described at the beginning of this training, which is group trip with a common payment link for payment. That means you've negotiated with your travel You want to use a payment link and you've negotiated with your supplier and you have a custom link for your group trips that you have from your supplier. You know, many of the suppliers do provide booking links, and if that's the process that you want to follow, we absolutely can support it with the workflow that I described before. Then I'm going to pause. That was a mouthful in and of itself. All right. Any questions on that workflow? That's going to be pretty easy workflow too, because you have a common link. No, you know, you have a common link, and what we're going to do is we're literally just going to add another parameter on the group setup so that you add that common link to your group trip, and that's going to be the link that's associated for every client that signs up. Pretty easy there. All right. The second scenario is the scenario that Lisa just said. She's like, well, that's really nice, Sunday, but that's not my situation. What she has, and which some of you all have this, is that you generate a custom link per client per trip. And in that situation, I have a solution for you. I just don't have it demonstrated in the workflow. What I will say to you all, I'm gonna talk generally about this because I don't even have this workflow diagrammed out yet. Ran out of time, but generally how this will work is you stop, when it comes to a group trip, you still are going to need to do an interest form. You're going to need to do an interest, but really the process stops after that, because you got to go generate that link. You got to go, you get the requests, so to speak. We literally going to treat it like a sort of mini request. You're going to get the requests, the interest form is going to come in your inbox. And you're going to be like, I got a group request for this group trip. And then you're going to go create that link wherever you go create that link, wherever you go, whatever system you go to. In the case of Lisa, you go to your host agency and you generate that link. You're going to generate that link and you're going to put that link in a field in the client record. That's how that's going to work. And then you're going to send out an email with that link, and the client's going to go about their business, and then we're going to drop them into the automation and bypass some of the other stuff. So Lisa, that's sort of the answer to your question. I'll write all that up for you, but that's literally how this is going to work. Because you guys have to stop. Like, I don't know where you're going to go. I don't know what system you're going to generate your link, but pretty much from a workflow perspective, this scenario is going to stop after they fill out the interest form. We're going to just take them to a thank you form that says thank you. Look for an email from us that's going to give you further instructions. That's pretty much what we're going to do on that scenario. Any questions on that? So this scenario is phase two. Phase two, I'll have it documented probably by Wednesday at the latest. But the idea is, again, you're going to go to sales page, interest form, and then you're going to go straight to a thank you page with a note that says, look out for an email from your advisor, from us to tell you how to take care of payment and that kind of stuff. Because again, you have some work external to the system. All right. Any questions on that? Let me make sure I'm not missing any questions. Is that the same? The system generates the link and sends it to the client. So you said, I don't know that I know the question, what you're saying, Lisa. So if you could come on the Zoom, if you could join the Zoom, that would be great. And I can answer your question directly, or you can come inside of our group, because I know you're in the group. But I don't know what you're asking me here. So I'm sorry. I don't know what the question is. And then for those who asked how to access Travel Pro Suite, you can get your free trial of Travel Pro Suite right here. And then I'm going to go to the next location. The Zoom link is, let me give it to you guys again. Let's see if I can do that. It's inside of the Facebook. You're on YouTube, Lisa. We're in the Facebook group. You can come inside the Facebook group too. Hold on, let me see if I can get. I don't know. It's complicated order. Hold on, I'd have to stop sharing. Yeah, it's in the Facebook group, Lisa. I didn't post it on YouTube because that was way too public for me. I didn't want complete absolute strangers coming in trying to hack us. So it's inside of our Facebook group, both of the Facebook groups, Lisa. If you can hop over there, the Zoom link is in there. All right, let me see if I answered. Okay, so that's group trip per client, where you're generating and you're getting a link per client. So if your system is generating a link and sending it to your client on your behalf, that's fine as well. We still want the client to fill an interest form out on our end so we know that the client is interested in that group trip. And then you are externally doing something outside of the system. They're collecting payment externally, they're getting authorization externally. All of that is happening outside of the system. And it looks pretty much, I actually did draw it up. This is it right here. This is going to be a thank you page without a link. There's no connection. And literally the client will click the payment link. They'll do the authorization. They'll make the payment. You'll get notice that the payment was made in your email system. And then you're going to have to manually move the opportunity to booking confirmation so that we know that you are done with collecting payment and that you're ready to go to the next stage. So that's really how this second process, all of these actual external system processes are going to work, is because I won't know that you've received payment. I don't know until you tell the system directly that you've received payment. So you're going to have to do an action to let the system know that you've received the payment and you're ready to go to the next stage. All right, so then the other scenario that you all have told me about is the scenario where, because I also have a client that does this as well, is that she does group trips and she does a discovery call and she generates an individual invoice for the clients. So similarly, now if it's an invoice that you want to process payment internal to the system, we could handle that in automation by doing some stuff. But the payment processing would be done in-house. The invoice creation would be done in the system, and we would do everything there. But she actually wants a breakpoint. She doesn't want anybody going to a direct buy. She actually wanted to insert herself and wanted to cut invoices. So we can support that scenario as well. But there's still a manual step there. And so if you decide that's the flow that you want to go, or you don't even want all payments to go, you want all of it to go to an interest form, and then you decide if you're going to cut an invoice or you're going to meet with the client, you can make those decisions for your workflow however you want. I just wanted to let you all know that you have flexibility in terms of how you go from a sales page to whatever next step you want to go. If you want to go straight to a buy, you can do that. If you want to go to interest, then book an appointment. That could be set up. If you've got an external payment, that also can be set up. So out the box, what we are going to be delivering to you all this week is the internal flow, processing payments internal, and the whole flow associated with that. And because I've already have this done, I will be releasing phase 1 of the payment, a common payment link flow with that. Now, customize emails in terms of like, what do you want to say? Because you're working with Vacation Express versus, Classic Vacation or whoever you're working with. I won't have customized email content for that. We'll have a standard confirmation content, but you have the ability to customize any of the email templates and make that unique to the vendors that you're working with or the trips that you're creating. We will deliver a standard set of communications to your clients with your ability to modify those templates and add additional templates, and then also attach them to the group trip workflow, different than maybe your individual trip workflow as well. All right, what do you need for this funnel or this payment processing different than the regular? Is that you will need to have your page content, same thing. For the first scenario where it's common payment link, you'll need to already have that negotiated out with your vendor. We'll need that link so that you can put it in your group setup so that we can then populate it with all of your clients, to your clients that sign up. And then you just need to have the group booking feature set up. So for scenario one, you just need to have really extra your payment information, your payment link information. You don't need to set up any product information. You don't need to do any of that because none of the product information is managed in-house. That's all done externally. So you don't need to set that up if you're doing externally processed information. On what I envision for these two is similarly, you won't need any product information there. We'll just need to understand, like for this scenario here, you won't even have, what won't you have? On this one, on the pay, where you have clients and you're doing the payment links here, you won't need your common vendor link. You'll just, because you're going to just end it. You're just going to do the interest form. You're going to do thank you. It's not going to have a link. It's not going to have a button on it. It's just going to say thank you. Thank you, client. We'll get back to you. So really your thank you page is just going to have one less action on it. So that's really going to be the difference between these workflows. And then really what happens is the automation, it becomes less automated. Does that make sense? Because you're doing stuff outside of the system. We are really good at handling all of the work internal to the system. When you have requirements that need to take you out of the system, many of the systems that you all work with in the travel industry, they just don't have integration points. There's no way to connect to them, to listen and hear, that these events have occurred. So unfortunately, when you process externally, it breaks the workflow. So you have to come back and tell the system that you're ready to go. All right, I'm going to pause. Did you come on, Lisa?
Yes, I am.
All right. Yes, ma'am. Okay, help me understand what you were saying.
Okay, so my host agency generates the link. I never see the link. So I will create the invoice for the client, and then I will go ahead and say generate link or whatever it says, and it will send an email to the client that provides them with the link. So
Gotcha.
I never see what the link looks like.
Got you. So it's all transparent to you. So in that situation, you'll send them to the sales page. They'll do an interest form, and then you'll send them to a thank you page, and that will be it. It'll be like, thank you. Look out for more information from me on what to do. And then you will do what you're doing, like you're doing outside, right? Like what you're doing today. And the only thing that we needed to break for you when we talked last week is we just need to stop reminding them to do the profile.
Correct.
And so I figured out what to do. There's a field that I've created here. And when that field is selected, they will not get that notification.
Okay. So then we would just basically, I'm seeing this as 5 steps. It would go up to step 3.
It'll go right here. So for your clients, your clients will go right here without the link. So it'll be pretty much what you have today, right? In your wedding destination flow. Well, it'll be thank you very much. You'll still do this. The only thing is that we have, let me just show, and this is for everyone again. So you remember I said you're going to copy this workflow and it says sample trip, and you're going to set up this item here. Where you got to set, so for you're going to set the trip start date, right? The date of that wedding is, and the end date, the final payment due date. And then yours is going to say, no, all payments processed outside. And by virtue of you selecting that, will bypass all of that automation that is going out, that is trying to collect the traveler profile.
Okay, and then I just have to manually move them from that one space to the other.
To the booking confirmation.
That's right.
That's right. Yep.
I'm catching it. I'm catching it.
You are. I'm so proud of you. Yes, you are. But that is the action. And so I have not recorded this training outside of what I'm showing everyone today. But that's going to be the fix for you in the scenario that you have. So because you don't want you're not doing the traveler profile. And for those that may be like lost a little bit, if you have a host agency that so here's the rub, right? Rub, good or bad, depending on how you feel about it, is this system. I was working with another client I was talking to earlier today, and she was like, "Do you replace TravelJoy and Travelify and all these other systems?" And I'm not really trying to compete with them because we do so much more than them, and they handle a slice of your business. However, what TravelJoy and I think even Travelify does is they have, I don't know about Travelify, but I know for sure TravelJoy does. And the whole concept of the supplier invoice, they have a credit card vault, which means they have a PCI compliant way to capture credit card information and then surface that back up to you. We don't do that. And it is my intention not to do that until mid this year, latter part of the year. So we are primarily wanting to work with not to say I don't want to work with those that don't, but our solution is great, as you can see, for full automation when you process internally. So we absolutely are creating workflows to support you if you are processing externally. We do have a partner. If you are partnered with Travel Industry Solutions to get your terms and conditions through them, they have a vault that you could swivel to them and vault, get, securely get credit card information there. But right now we do not have that as a part of our solution. We do all processing internal to the system from A to Z, handle that workflow. But if you have to come outside of the system, we're just trying to provide you a path to do that. All right. All right, let me see. Did I miss somebody's question? Perfect. All right, Lisa, did I get you? Are you good? All right, let me make sure there's not any other questions that I'm missing.
You may not see my thumb, but yeah.
Yes, I did not see your thumb, but thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Let's see if there's any other questions, because wow, I did this in an hour. I'm pretty impressed. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some of the things that because some of you guys are new and haven't been working in the system and may want to see some things. So let me see if I can show you some things that for those people who are absolutely brand spanking new to the system and are like, wow, this is a lot of information. So Lisa has been with us for quite a while, and so she is rocking and rolling. She has her group. And she has challenged me and love it. So Lisa, keep it coming. All right, so orders, I just want to, I guess before I jump in and start showing, like, what do you guys want to see? How many people are processing, like taking payments and paying their vendors directly versus doing external payments? Because based on what kind of mix we have, live, I can then show you features associated with that. And then while you guys are answering that, I'm going to show you just some sort of basic features of the system so you can see kind of what is going down on the system from a contact perspective and some of the other cool stuff. And then I'll spend the rest of the time answering questions or showcasing any sort of scenarios that you guys may have when it comes to your groups. All right, so for those who are brand spanking new to the system, you're going to always land on a dashboard. Our dashboard's not very sexy right now because I've been working on workflows, but we will have more information on the dashboard. But really right now what we have is a widget that allows you to see your opportunities, and you can go from your travel request workflow or your client booking workflow, and your group trips are going to be in your client booking workflow. But really, the reason why I'm just so excited to offer this solution to you all is some of the features that I'm about to show you now, which is I'm going to start with contacts. And this is where you can see all of your contact information. So you can see here 58 minutes ago, I interacted with the system. and I actually submitted a payment, like I actually purchased something. I've been talking a lot to myself, so all of that history is right here in the middle of the screen. You can see all of the emails, phone calls, text messaging, everything that you've ever interacted with your client. You can always see that in the middle of the screen. On the left-hand part of the screen, you can see all of their contact-related information. And we have things grouped by different components that we're capturing around the client. So their traveler information, their trip information, their payment information, their requests, and then ultimately we'll also have the ability to do commission tracking. On the right hand of the screen are all the events and actions that your client has ever taken with you over time. So every web page that they've submitted a form to, any forms that they've ever submitted, all of that history is right here. Then any of the payments that they've made are right here in this payment section where the dollar sign. So this payment that I did today is right here. You can see that. You can also see that in the payments under orders and transaction. But you can see all the payment history and subscriptions. You can see their invoicing and all that. If ever you're on a call and you need to charge now and you're processing payment internally, you can do that as well here and over the phone with your client. That's on the contact. Where all of your trip information is going to live, it's going to live in this word called opportunities. That's what we consider trips. So we've got two main workflows that we're working with in the system that we've created, and that's going to be the travel request workflow and then the client booking workflow. So for group trips, we bypass the request because we're the ones designing the trip. So we really are just going to start right here in this step 4 client booking workflow. And as I mentioned, this particular trip, it started and it landed right here because I don't really need any trip information because I'm hosting the trip. So I have all the trip information. So as clients make their payments, it's going to drop right here in awaiting booking confirmation. And we've got different phases of the trip. We explain all of that, like this whole different phases is explained in the masterclass called Client Booking, Mastering Client Booking Management. So all of the phases and how things move from phase to phase, that's all in that masterclass. I'm not really going to spend a lot of time here because once you set that up, your group trips, your fit trips are all going to fall into these categories and move along the pipeline based on dates and the start date of the trip and just actions that you're taking. So I assumed that for your bookings, even with the group trip, we don't want to automatically confirm the trip because you still need to do some work. Most of you all still need to contact your supplier. You need to reserve the space potentially or earmark the space. And somehow I still wanted you to be involved in the moving of the records from awaiting confirmation to booking confirmation. I've gone back and forth on should I automatically do that for you or make you physically move it, and I keep landing back on I should physically make you move it because again, I don't know what you have to do with your suppliers. I'd love to hear anyone's feedback who'd like to come offline and give me some feedback on your thoughts on that. Or if you don't want to, you want to send me an email, I'm good with that too. But what do you guys think about that? Don't be shy. This is not the time to be shy.
Well, you know I'm not shy. Can you summarize your question for me because you said a lot?
Yeah, so my question is as for group bookings, right? When they come in, I don't know what you have to do. And frankly, fits, I don't know what you, and I'm really to that point on any booking. I don't know what you have to do with your suppliers. I know what I do with my suppliers, but I don't know what you do with your suppliers. I don't know what all you have to do to really fully confirm the booking once you've received a payment. So what I'm asking is, and what I've decided, what I keep landing on is I need you to manually move this record from awaiting to booking confirmed. Once you do that, some automation will kick off for you when you do that. But I continue to be hesitant to do this automatically for you.
Yeah, I wouldn't want you to do it automatically for me.
Well, good, because I had it, but I'm in the next release that's going out tomorrow. I'm taking it off. Like I've thought about. I mean, I have been racking my brain on it, and I'm like, yeah, it's nice, but there's just so much unknown that I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not that difficult for me, at least, to just drag it from that one spot to the next spot, and then I know that it's done. So that's part of my
Your checklist.
balance, checks and balance.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
so,
Yep. Because I was automatically moving it to once you updated the confirmation number, but I still don't know that I don't want to do that either. Like I don't want to do that either. So I'm taking that automation away from y'all for those who've had it for like 5 days now. So I think I just released it last week, but I'm taking it off. And it's going to be required that you physically move this record to the booking confirmation phase. And once you do that, it will then send an email out to your client that says, hey, you're finally booked. Here's your confirmation number, and this is what you can expect from us from 90, 45 and all this other stuff. So that's going to be a manual step for you all. And I'm going to update that documentation too, to let you all know that it's a manual step. And then from there on out, the rest will, unless of course you have some special scenarios, the rest will move into 90, 45, 37 automatically for you based on the trip start date.
But then that does bring me to other questions though, Sunday.
Yeah.
With those of us that have other host agencies, you mentioned the confirmation numbers. How is that information going to be fed from one system to the other system?
So
I have my own little spreadsheet right now that I keep track of it.
Yeah.
But it's the way that because that to me seems as if it's going to be an automatic field.
It's not an automatic field. It's a field. It's just a text field that you can update.
Oh, okay.
It's right here.
Manually go into.
Yep, you can go into the record and you can just add all the confirmation numbers that you want. And what I will tell you is that you'll want to do that before you move it to the confirmation step, because when you move it, that email goes out. So once, as a part of it being here, I'm like 99% sure that it's probably, I think there's a wait statement on here. There's a wait time, but there's a wait, I think at like 15 minutes. But before you do the move, and we could talk about the timing for you all, like what makes sense, but I definitely want you guys to utilize this and see what makes sense. Once you put this confirmation information in there, and you move it, it'll pull that information in and send it to your client in an email.
So then my other thought too is making sure that the client doesn't get confused, that the language is clear, that they understand that you are booked for the trip, but you may not be paid in full for the trip.
Yeah, that's something you can change on your email template.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think the language just says that we've got you confirmed. But the language of the template, you can absolutely change if there's something specific that you want. It just says that, we've got your confirmation, and I don't even remember what, but there's a template that it's called the booking. It's going to be in email templates, and it's going to be in client booking. So Lisa, I don't know if you've had a chance to take a look at that training, but that training goes over what emails are going out. But okay. I'm almost positive it's this one. This is the booking, but there's one for like proposal confirmations too. So this is the booking email. Yeah, it just says that we have you confirmed. This is your steps. And then here, and then I guess I do final to complete your travel. The final is due on, and it's going to pull in the final due date here. Kindly follow the instructions in the invoice.
Okay.
Okay.
So then once I go through that training, I'll see how all of that needs to work out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So
thank you.
this email's not done, it looks like, but the proposal email is done.
Okay.
Yeah, see, I just need to update that group. I haven't finished that email, but on the proposal confirmation, it's the same concept. We're telling them final balance. So I think that's sort of the spirit of what you're saying is you don't want them to think that they're all paid in full. It's still
Exactly.
it's telling them that they still need to they still have some financial commitments that they need to honor.
Exactly.
Yep. Okay.
Cool.
So the group booking email will have the same kind of language here, and it'll be pulling in the same kind of information here. Okay. All right. Well, that is, I'm going to see if I missed any questions, but that was, okay. So contacts, opportunities, moving items, from one phase of the journey to another. Is a part of the process. So again, this one's going to be a manual move, and then from confirmation to 90, 45, 7, and 1 is an automated move. Right now, I'm not using this phase. I intend it to probably in the future. That's why I've kept it here. We're not using 180 and 30-day phases right now. I personally use them in my own workflow, but we don't have any automation built for 30 and the 180 days. Okay, so that's opportunities. And then payments. So cool things about payments that you'll want to know is that, all invoicing, we can handle invoicing out of the system. But if you're processing external, then you probably are not going to do too much payment stuff. Maybe your design fees, if you are charging for a planning fee, your invoicing and all of that can be here. But if you're processing external, not so much going to be a feature that you're going to use. Your proposals and all of that, if you are generating proposals for fits, that'll be done and managed underneath the documents and contracts. We support the ability to obtain credit card authorization, electronic signature at the time of proposal or invoicing. Anytime you're collecting payment, we can support that setup there. The other really cool thing is that we do, as I mentioned, we've got email templates. So we have I don't even know the number we're up to right now, but we had a whole buttload of email templates that we've created at each of the steps and phases of the journey. You have full rights to edit those templates, copy them, utilize them however you see fit. But we've organized them according to the steps. We are currently talking about step 2 and step 4 in this workshop this week. So we've got step 4. We actually are really traversing these 3 steps. So we're doing presentation 3 and 4. And so we have email templates associated with that, forms. And you'll see pretty much everything in the system structured into these 5 steps. And these relate to the workflows that we're talking about. Automations. That's kind of what we've been talking about now. And this really is probably the heartbeat of the system. This is really where we deliver information to your clients at the right time. We deliver notifications to you, to your clients. We're requesting them to provide us information. We're setting up appointments. There's all sorts of things that the automations are doing. But we've created some very robust automations for the travel industry, for you advisors, really taking into account the way that you do business. Do I have every scenario and every flavor that you possibly could do? No. This is general workflow. So I have general workflow defined so you don't have to do a starting point. What I do have is the beginnings of an amazing travel pro community that is stretching my brain and stretching my workflow skills and my workflow brain to try and include as much in the base as possible. But you guys, what I really want to get you all to the point is to the point that Lisa is able to now. 4 months ago, Lisa, I would say she was not moving around like this. She was not talking to me this way. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but being able to say, well, I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to do this. And Lisa, you know, if you would be willing, where did you start at when we first started on this? Like, where did you start at from in your business? Are you okay to share? I shouldn't have called you out. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
It's okay. You know what? You did it. You know I'm that kind of girl. That's why you did it. I mean, I started out, I'm not a very tech savvy person. So trying to understand the system was a little bit more challenging for me than it might be for someone who is more robust and not afraid to break something. So I just really, I always tell Sunday that I'm very grateful because she kind of really walked me through it. She's a great trainer. So her showing me from the travel request process is where I initially started, and making sure I understood that is what helped me. Then as individuals began to actually complete the request, everything that I was seeing that she had been training me was beginning to make more sense to me. I don't think I told you this. I have learned within the past 2 weeks how to make phone calls from the app on the computer. It kind of weirded me out at first, but I learned how to make phone calls, and I am doing very well in text messaging too. So it just took that initial piece for me to get beyond my fears of technology to actually get a little bit more comfortable with it. And I would say every week I'm probably more and more comfortable with it. I would probably be the most comfortable with it once I can create my own workflow.
And and the reason why I wanted you to speak, Lisa, is because I think you're there. Like, I think you are so ready to do that. And this just warms the cockles of my soul. So this is exactly where I want to see all of you all is we've created a standard for you to start with. This is certainly not where I hope that you end with, because each of you all have unique scenarios in your business that you want to build the system with. And I don't want you to feel like you've got to come to me to get approval to utilize this amazing tool for your business, because you don't. You know, I will make modifications to the standard, but remember, I'm trying to keep the standard, right? That does not mean that you can't vary from the standard and start to implement things that make sense for your business. And I encourage you to do that. And so quickly is in the eyes of the beholder, so to speak. What that means, someone's quick may not be someone else's quick. So there's not a time frame that I say that you need to get to this comfort level, but I absolutely want you to get to this comfort level. And that's how then do you create your own funnels? How then do you create your own automations? How do you create your own forms, your own surveys based on your own unique scenarios that you want to do? And that's really the next step after that. And so the fact that you said that, Lisa, is a perfect segue into what's coming after you guys get this set up and you start using the systems is, hey, thanks, Sunday. Like, I intended for you to go beyond me and be like, thanks, Sunday. I don't need to go to your sweet success workshops. I'm over here doing my own thing, because you really have a really powerful system that will allow you to do that. So we want you to feel comfortable with doing that. All right. Any other questions? All right. So I think I've shown you sort of the base, which is contacts. Some other cool things that I like to just show, and most of the users haven't been able to really, I know I've got a couple users that are using our social planner, where you can connect your Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, your Google My Business, and your TikTok accounts, and you can publish content directly to those platforms from the system. You can do that. Our next Sweet Success after this workshop in April is going to be all around how to get testimonials on your Facebook page and also on your Google business profile, how to get reviews from that, like how to manage your reputation on the internet streets. So, and then really how to manage your results. So that's really going to be our next step. We'll probably be releasing features on the dashboard in April as well, because that's really what we're going to be focused on, is the results. How do you manage the results? But that's really what I wanted to show you. For those who are also new and maybe you haven't done your onboarding call, let me just show you again what you need to. Once you log into your version of the system, you're going to always find training for the software in the Travel Pro Portal link, which is right at the bottom on the left-hand side. If you are a member of our online Travel Boss School, you may be seeing your travel student community. You just want to select the Travel Pro Suite community. That's for our TPS members. This is going to take you to our community. And then also when you click on learning, this will take you to our classes. And right now, this class is not here yet, but the class that's going to be dropped here is going to be the group setup and management, and it's going to go over all the things that we've gone over this week and beyond. So we're really going to be focused on this all month long, talking about your group setup. So if you've got group trips that you want to set up, this is the time to go get that detail, right? Get your itinerary, get your content so that you can build it with me all month long. All right, we are 1 minute over the time. I'm going to ask if there's any questions with the people who are on live or in chat. And if not, then tomorrow we're going to go all over the sales page and what you need to do to build out your sales page. All right, for those who are live, how did you guys like it? Are you good? Any questions, concerns, thoughts, or feedback? Quiet bunch today. You guys know how much I hate when you guys are quiet. I like when you guys talk to me. Okay, well, if not, I'll see you same time, same bat channel tomorrow. Lisa, thank you for coming on live and talking. All right, everybody, have a good night. Talk to you soon.